All right, question of the day. What is the best nature game out there besides So Clover? Yes, bringing it back. That was my favorite moment on the Dice Towers when I just dropped absolute jaws. But as we know, controversy creates cash. So, no, what is your favorite nature game? Because today we're taking a look at a game all about nature and preserving it. This is Floresta. Now, what you're doing is you're going to put out trees. Literally, in this time, you're not like a tree spreading your treeness. You're planting trees, and then you're preventing fires and wildlife and things like that. So let's take a look at Floresta from Arcane Wonders, and we'll come back up and talk final thoughts right now. All right, this is Floresta, currently set up for a two-player game. You know that for a couple reasons. One, the amount of cards out here in the display, plus the trees that are blocking. Not really blocking, they're actually helping. This is one of the few times where the trees actually help you instead of blocking spaces. On your turn, you're going to do one of three actions. You're going to play a tree, place a watchtower, or discard a card and remove a tree. The way you play these is you have cards in your hand. You'll notice the little dice pips in the top left corner. No, there's not a dice in this game. Well, there's one, but it's for fire, not this. The color matters too. On the board, you'll see placement spots with different colors. This is light brown 1, light brown 6, dark brown 1. When you choose to take an action, you'll do the action based on where you put your tree out or your bonus for placing the watchtower. You'll notice the trees go in the middle in this shape of 5, and the watchtower sit on the corners there. Again, that's all random. It can be changed differently. They all score differently. So you're essentially playing really 6 mini games because you can only have one watchtower for the entire game for yourself. But each of these places score different. However, there's also bonuses at the bottom. Case in point, if you were to play this card and use it and place a tree in the mountain area, which would be that one, you would gain a lynx. Now this power is interesting with this board because once you place a lynx out, let's say we play this card here. Now that one doesn't give you a lynx like a lot of the other spaces in the mountain area does. It gives you a set of 2 points. So if you place this here in the mountain area, you would also take a lynx. You take the lynx and you will spend those over here. Anything in red is a spend, anything in green is a gain. And then each of these places score differently. Case in point, if you were to have a tree in all 4 of these rows, the top row, the second row, third row, fourth row, you'll gain 18 points, 10 for 3, 6 for 2. The middle one scores a little bit differently. It's actually very low scoring because if you have more than 3 trees here, you get 3 points. Less than 3 trees, you get 2 points. You think that's not very great. But the cool point about this one is, let's just say you had a tree here and you were to place a second one. You play a 4 brown, either one here. You can then move a tree that's already in this row over to here, ignoring any placement bonuses and costs, which is pretty cool because it essentially means you play here to play here. Hey, it's got obviously some placement restrictions because this will eventually start to fill up and you won't be able to move everything on one turn. So let's say we move this over here, we'll then get 5 points for that. This down here is you're going to play connected trees. So if you have 4 trees connected, it's 22 points, 3, 2. The watchtowers all give you kind of a permanent bonus. Axes can be used like Castles of Burgundy workers, where you spin this to go up and down on the dice, and according to the fire dice, 6s roll into 1s and 1s roll into 6s. So you can use this to manipulate your card, where if you don't have the card you need to play a tree, you can spin this to bump it to the number you want. That one over there, like I said, gives you the rows. This one lets you move. This one scores you for the different connected trees. This one over here is just you get a lot of points during the game. If you have lynxes in your hand at the end of the game, it's -2 points. That one up there, you're going to have to start where these white arrows are or connected to a tree that's already there. So we have one tree here already. And you just kind of follow the path. The person who has the most there gets 12 points. That'd be trees. The person who has the second is 7 and then 3. The watchtowers, like I said, that gives you a permanent axe. This one allows you to place 3 bonus trees here for later. Now, normally there are 3 ways to get bonus tree placements. Number 1 is to have a run of 6 cards. So once you play your card down, you keep it in front of you. You don't put it in a discard pile. You'll have a run of 6 cards. You get to immediately place a bonus tree, which ignores, again, placement and costs. The next thing is to have a tree in all 5 places. You'll then place another one. And then if you have 20 points, you can also place one as well. At the end of your turn, you're going to draw a card back up, and then it will proceed to the next player's turn. At the very end of the turn, you'll go into the fire phase. Now, when you place into the watchtower, which you have these really cool little tokens here, And once you place your watchtower out, you're going to gain access to your fire truck. Your fire truck has a reach of the height of your watchtower. So let's say you place this here, you have a fire truck here, you can then reach these 2 squares. Once you have level 2, you can reach that square. Once you have level 3, you can reach the other 2 squares, giving you access to all of those. Now, why do you need that? Well, fire is going to start breaking out. Actually, really rarely. When fire breaks out, you're going to be able to put out the fires, because if you don't, it's a -1 point for each fire adjacent to a tree. Sorry, it's a -1 point for each tree adjacent to a fire. That matters because one tree can only be scored negative once. A couple things to mitigate that. There are fire breaks that you'll get to put out from cards. And that's what this symbol is. You can also play the firefighter to put out fires on the middle of your turn, as well as if you have the fire truck, you can take the fire truck action before new fire comes out or it spreads and put out fires. Each fire you put out gives you an additional point. You're going to keep playing until someone has placed all of their trees. You'll then count all the different points you get during the game. The person with the most points wins the game. All right, so that is Floresta. It's actually pretty straightforward. I mean, obviously you've got those 3 actions that you can do, and then you're kind of getting bonuses, and then you're playing almost 5 different mini games with a bonus booster in one of the corners. So, as you know, since last year, we've been doing a rubric system instead of just shotgunning it since 2016 for these reviews. We take these 7 categories: concept, art direction, mechanics, gameplay, rule book, and I feel like and board layout. And then we divide that by 7, those totals, and we get the final score for it. So this can kind of throw it based on certain categories. So first of all, the concept. I actually think the concept's pretty good. It's an 8. This is a game in which you are planting trees to preserve a forest. Now, I'm not the most naturey person. I like nature. I like to go outside when I have to. I love to cut grass. I love to hunt and fish, or I've never hunted. I love to fish. But as far as like walking in the woods, we do enjoy that when we go to like Yosemite and places like that. But it's not something I seek out. So, but I actually thought this was good. The whole idea of planting trees, preserving trees, and all that sort of stuff. Thought that was a pretty cool concept. Board layout is an 8. Also, I actually really like how there's 5 mini games, or 10 technically, and there's any combination of that, however that works. I don't know what the math is on that. Somebody can help me with the permutation there, but it's the 5 in the middle, and they can be flip-flopped however you want, and you play them on those sides and score them on those sides. So I really like that whole notion. I like the fact that the corners are the watchtowers. The one tricky thing is you can only ever pick one of those watchtowers. So you kind of have to choose which bonus you're going to go for and then use the watchtower to play to your strengths. Now, mechanics of this game, I give it a 7. Probably actually I would give it a 6.5 here to pull down the final score for this, because the fire is played up on the reference card like it's a big thing. You even get the fire truck action. You have the firefighter action in your cards, but really and truly the fires just don't come up that much. I mean, you start new fires, they can spread, but depending on when these fires come up, you really can mitigate this very easily. So it's not so like you read it and you go, oh my gosh, we're going to have to worry about fires the whole time, like Pandemic or that Kraken game where you're on the boat and it's sinking, you're putting out fires and the Kraken's going to kill you. But it's really not. In fact, you almost really can ignore the fires and just play to your strengths really quickly and avoid having to worry about those things. So that's one tricky thing. The art direction is a 7. I do like that every one of the boards tells you how to score, but you're going to need to look a couple different times in the rule book at what each one does, because there's mid-game scoring, there's final scoring, there's what certain things do, there's rules for placement. So you actually can't just intuit that necessarily from the board. Now, there are different symbols on each one, different types of paths on each one that tell you what to do. But all in all, you're going to have to look multiple times until you have this game memorized cold at which each one of the maps does. So art direction is a 7. Art is a 9. I actually think the art looks really, really great in this game. It's a fantastic looking art. The character card art, the action card art, the board art, it looks really good. Components are nice, little wooden trees, the fire truck, the watchtower. I like that the watchtower is 2 discs and then the square, which looks like a dice because it's a 6-sided polyhedron. I don't know. And you put that on there. So I think that looks really good. But art is a 9. Gameplay, still a 7. It's good. I like what you do. I like if you're choosing the 3 actions. The 3 actions are kind of like, but really a solitaire, other than the fact that you can block somebody else's tree on a couple of the places, but not completely. There's really nothing you can do to go, haha, I got you. You know what I mean? But that doesn't bother me. I really like solitaire multiplayer games. So that's not an issue for me. What is the issue, I guess, is just, it does feel like on one hand, you're thinking, okay, I've got to mitigate this fire. And the other hand, you're like, wait a minute, I could just score points around it and not have to worry about it. So I think that's pretty neat. Rulebook's an 8. It actually is very helpful. I wish there was a quicker reference sheet for each of the different maps, because they are very different, how they score, how they play. So that's the only thing that it would be easier if you could kind of quickly view, okay, boom, 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 boom. Here's what these 5 or 10 maps do. Totals of 7.5. Really interesting game. Arcane Wonders has got on their hands here. It's pretty. It looks nice. It can be, I would recommend playing this with more than 2, actually, because 2 almost feels too simple. Yes, there are things that you do to put out trees to either block or advance certain maps, but at 2, it feels like it's missing something. So play it with 3 or 4, and then just enjoy Floresta. If you like trees, if you like forest, let me know in the comments what you think of Floresta right now.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. You can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Basil.